Antonio, I think everyone's wondering what happened with that performance.
What happened? What happened that the third games in a row that we are not able to score. I think the game was in balance. Yes, I saw the stats, and the game was in balance. Then, if you ask me that in a game like this we were really dangerous, no. I think that we can do much better. We can do much better offensively to try. But when I speak about offensively, and I speak about the whole team, not only the players that play in and front up. I think that we can do much better. But I can't tell anything of negative for the commitment of the players, because in my opinion the players they gave everything from the start until the end. Also when we finished the game with 10 men. But yeah, if I have to see a positive situation, that yeah, we did compare the last season a little step forward, because last season we played the Conference League and we weren't able to overcome the group stage, no? And if you remember well, we lost against Mora, Vitesse, Pacos Ferreira last season. Now I think that we did a step forward, but I think that for sure this is not enough, and if you want to be competitive, you want to try to fight to be competitive. Yeah.
I think we all expected for there to be more intensity, more challenges, create an atmosphere that made it difficult for them, and they seemed pretty comfortable for a lot of the game.
Yeah, but for sure in our mind was to try to put pressure, and Milan with intensity. But I think in the first half we were. Yeah, we found difficulty, offensively. Despite we find the space that we prepared to receive the ball, to create 1v1, but the first half I think that we struggle a bit. In this type of game you feel also a bit of pressure. There are many players, young players, that I think they have to play regularly this type of game and to try to improve.
It's a big blow, though. There's going to be inquests, and there'll be questions about the club, questions about yourself as well after that result. Do you expect that?
But I think everybody wanted to try to...
It will be different in the second half, he said.
Slightly better.
Very slightly better. Look, they haven't emerged yet from the dressing room. As soon as they do emerge and we get to speak to a Tottenham player, or indeed the Tottenham manager, we'll bring that to you straight away. You can go on social media and you can work out pretty much what the Spurs fans are saying regarding Antonio Conte. His contract's up at the end of the season. Would any of you be tempted into a change earlier than that? Or does the fact that they are battling for the top four mean that there's still too much at stake, even if there's no silverware available now?
I think the powers that be at the club will sit there and say, at the moment we're in pole position. Teams have got games in hand around them, yes, but they've got the points on the board and they're sitting in fourth. So I think it'll be a bit too early to say, right, we're going to give them the sack when they're in that position, and the be-all and end-all is finishing in Champions League positions for Spurs. But it also, I think, who's out there, who's gettable. There's quite a few people out of work. Thomas Tuchel's out of work at the moment. Would he be a consideration? I don't know. Coming from Chelsea, they've done it in the past, but all those factors have to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, I think it'd be a slight risk now at this moment in time, but everyone's got to sit down together, and perhaps they've already done it. Perhaps they know that they know that maybe Conte isn't going to stay, so they said, right, you stay to the end of the season, get us in that top four. Obviously, they wanted to go through tonight. That might slightly change now, but it's about communication at that level. But you're right, who's out there? There's talk about Pochettino coming back.
Well, his name's trending on Twitter, as tends to be the norm when Spurs
Yeah,
beat
of course, that'll happen tonight, won't it? And it's when the dust settles and you've got to look at the bigger picture, really. Getting into top four is one thing. That's what Spurs have got to aim at still this season, but it's a bigger picture than that. It's a much bigger. Is that team then going to go again in the Champions League next year? And they need investment into the squad, and there needs a little bit of more than a little bit of rebuilding. Anyway.
Well, you know what what is the point of the top four, right? If you're going to perform like you do like this in the Champions League, other than the financial aspect of it, you know, the fans would like to see, you know, an FA Cup, a trophy win, a push, even a Carabao Cup. You know, it's been so long since. So then to play a weakened team in the FA Cup, then to lose to Wolves, and the reason he rested the players is to bring them back for the Premier League game. They then lose that, and then you're in the Champions League, and you're going for top four. But what for? They've not performed in any game that I've seen here in the Champions League.
It's that old thing, it's a bit Spursy, isn't it? People, I know on social media you're going to see it everywhere. Sorry, guys. I know
It's hard. No, it's hard to take because obviously we've played for the club.
It feels like that.
You know, it is.
I mean,
but like
same old story.
You can't, as a fan or as an ex-player, you know, ex-manager, you got to take it on the chin because it keeps happening.
Yeah, so it's repeating itself. As I say, I look for patterns. As a manager, you look for patterns. A one-off 7-0 at the weekend.
All right, mate.
All right, I'm just bouncing back here. It's becoming, hopefully, for United, is a one-off. But you look for patterns as a manager. Is this happening? There's a pattern happening here. There's a lot of those performances from the team that are being repeated. And I just think there's that lack of quality in there at the moment. You know, and are they going to go and spend money to go and get some players that need... 4 or 5 need to go in there from at the back. Yeah. They need midfield. They need a creator. And you know, if they lose Harry Kane, my word, where do they go from there?
And everything hinges on everything else, because you can say, well, go and spend some money, but you need to know who the manager is that's coming in and who he would like to have. And then once you've spent that money and you've got the new manager, and then Harry Kane needs to be making a decision about, is the quality of the new manager right for me? Is the quality of the new players right for me? Everything rests on everything else. And it's almost like, what's the first thing they need to do?
How many transitional periods is Harry Kane going to have to wait for? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like how many periods and how many managers? And then we all go, oh, this is the time. You know, we're going to invest now. We got the new stadium. Let's wait for the new stadium. Wait for the new training. But you know, it's a short career. I don't think anyone could begrudge Harry Kane if he wants to move this summer. I don't think any fan here would tell you any different.
It's also, are they going to spend money and invest? But also, is it going to be good money spent? The recruitment's got to be better. You see some of the players that have come through the door in recent years. We were talking about the back four that they had a few years ago in Toby,
Alderweireld,
and Vertonghen, Walker, Rose. Look at that there now, in comparison. Not even anywhere near it.
Well, you mentioned, you know, that some of them came
backwards.
Some of them came through the club though as well. But at the moment, Skip's out there at this moment in time. I know there's nothing really hitting you in the eye that's going to come through and go right through into the first team at this moment in time. So there's a slight problem for him as well.
So much rest, I think, on the future of Harry Kane. He had the best chance this evening. We can have a look at Spurs' chances, including that one. And this really is the best of a pretty bad bunch, really. It didn't create a thing that helps your cause when you're a Tottenham manager under pressure.
Yeah. Well, the main thing at the moment with the fans, and the problem with the fans, is that you know, tactically they feel it's too defensive, it's too pragmatic. They don't go for the jugular. And we saw it again today. We've seen it time and time again. We're repeating the same things time and time again. In the first half of a Champions League second leg, the quarter-final state, come out and go at them, give the crowd something to cheer. I've never seen the crowd so flat, but that was because of the performance. And it's happened. You know, it has to be coming from the manager. It has to be, right, we'll sit back, you know, we'll take it in the first half, and then we'll get, you know, we'll go out and have a go in the second, because it consistently happens, and it's just not been good enough this year.
To do that, Peter, I think we were talking during the game, and I was saying, well, Tottenham only play with 2 in midfield, and they get outnumbered. Some teams play with 4 in there, or a 3 in there, whatever shape is behind or in front. That is where the midfield can't press like they should be able to press. They can't get near anyone. And tonight it should have happened because they were playing a similar system. So the wing-backs should have been smothering, not being pushed back into a 5. They could have been smothering their wing-backs on the front foot. And the midfield is the problem for me. If they go into a 5, they get outnumbered in midfield when the opposition have got the ball. But when they can't press. They can't press because there's holes, big holes behind them in between their back three and their midfield. And it's a real problem. You've got to play with three in there sometimes. You've got to change. Sometimes you've got to change the tactics.
They've got to play with more risk. We were sitting here and saying, play the ball forward, play one touch, take
It's just not
someone
going to happen under this manager, though, is it?
I don't know.
It's not going to suddenly change.
I don't know. There's no risk.
It's the player. You've got to look at the player. Is he going to get... I mean, MRBEAR put some decent performances for Tottenham, and he's a good player at what he does, but get turned. Look forward first. And then if it's not on, then go back.
How many times have we sat here? We sat here and we've gone, he's passed it backwards again. So not just high, but most of the players in the Spurs team, every time there's opportunities to play forward, and it's easy sometimes when you're sitting up in the stand and watching with a bird's eye view of the game, but too often it happens where there is a ball on forward and they play safe.
From the manager? Is that a confidence issue from the players?
Scared?
There's no
The manager hasn't
there?
asked him to do that. He hasn't asked him to do that. And that's what happens for Tottenham. In the two in midfield, sometimes they pop it back so many times. It happens all teams nowadays. They go backwards for nothing. Then they haven't turned. It goes back, it goes in, it goes back. Now what you...
Position maintenant. Alors que se passe-t-il? Le buteur Hakim Ziyech est resté au sol.